Yeah, can you?
Yo, just so you understand it, this is Coach Carvel Bailey's program with the spirit of Bob Hambry. This is Bless the Ball, helping athletes, and we represent. Study your craft, your mentality leads to excellence. It's all about your mindset. We'll never stop addressing this, so be positive and not a pessimist. Confidence took James Harden higher. If you really want it, it ain't gonna be easy. It's gonna be hard as carbon fiber, but we got you. From counseling to workshops, we do it. You'll go farther with a scholarship. We'll help you get recruited. Yo, anyone can dribble and shoot, but it's the ones who study basketball internally that make it to Duke University. Knowledge goes around. The game is played from the neck up and not from the shoulders down. This is Bless the Ball, helping you with obstacles. The athletes are the rocket. Bless the Ball is the rocket fuel. If you hit a wall, we can help you slowly climb it. So keep a Mamba mentality like Kobe Bryant. Bless the Ball. Cherish the opportunities that you have. Bless the Ball. Use your mentality to master the craft. Bless the Ball. Come join our team. It's a new day. Follow our steps and watch how much better you play. Bless the Ball. Cherish the opportunities that you have. Bless the Ball. Use your mentality to master the craft. Bless the Ball. Come join our team. It's a new day. Follow our steps and watch how much better you play. Yo, Coach Carvel Bailey. Hey, listen to your coach, man. He ain't no scrub off the street. That man got credentials, academic and street. Believe it. And my name is Strategic.
All right, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's been a minute, but we back, lunch and learn. And so this is Coach Carvel Bailey, and I want to I only got a few minutes with you all today because I got some things that I got to do in about 20 minutes. So I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. And so this show is being sponsored by Understanding Life Through the Game of Basketball, as well as Bless the Ball Consorting Group, right? We are a company that help high school basketball players get recruited, even if they're not five-star athletes, okay? And so I've had a lot of people over the course of the past maybe 72 hours or so to be able to call me. 72 to 96 hours, they're calling me or they're sending me information with these pictures about something that happened in a basketball game, right? And so I've kind of kept quiet because, one, I personally know the individual that does skill development with this particular player. And so it's not necessarily about the particular player, right? I believe his name is Mike. They call him Mikey something. It's not necessarily about him, but it's about those individuals that are watching and that may come up after him and may attempt to do some of these same things. So here's the backstory, right? From what I understand, this individual had a pretty decent game or great game, however you may see it, and wound up scoring 50 points, right? 50 is 50. No matter how you look at it, right? You got to connect that orange ball with that orange rim, right? It's like, playing a flip over game, you got to match. You got to match that orange ball with that orange rim. And so 50 points is 50 points. You have to be able to do it in a certain way. Everybody doesn't have that opportunity to score that number of points. But all in all, right, what happened is there's a picture floating around. And there's a picture by, let's say, and let's use it in this context. Let's use it in the correct context, right? There's an offender and then there's a victim, right? If we're looking at it in the context of real life, again, life in basketball, there's an offender and then there's a victim. And so the picture is floating around about the actual offender in the face, forehead to forehead, with the said victim, right? Said offender, said victim. And it was posted by the gentleman's mom talking about sportsmanship, right? And said, like, the real sportsmanship goes to my son, said victim, who was able to keep his cool and still carry on throughout the game. Said victim or said offender I guess retweeted it or reposted it and said, like, hey, mama can't save you, right? Now, we know, or maybe you don't know, but there's no friends in the game of basketball, right? That person that has on a different color, a different jersey than you, even if you all go grew up in the same neighborhood, our next door neighbors. When that ball is tipped, there are no real friends. And the game has got kind of misconstrued a little bit because a lot of people out here now play buddy ball. And what do I mean by buddy ball? It's, I'm going to let you score, you let me score. I'm going to let you shine, get your little jelly roll on, you let me come and, get my 3 on, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to necessarily put pressure on you. You don't put pressure on me, because the game has transformed into an offensive game, not necessarily a defensive game. And so from there, things have got inverted. Right? And athletes are not as mentally tough, right? Honestly, aren't as physically tough. They're more athletic, but they're not as mentally or physically tough. So I just want to give you all 3 quick points, because I've been asked so many times from different people, what's your opinion? What's your opinion? So let me put it out there now, right? I'm going to give y'all 3 quick points. The first thing is athletes must, I'm going to lean in a little bit. They must respect the game, right? I came on here about 5 years ago, back when LaMelo Ball was shooting from half court. And I said the exact same thing. Athletes must respect the game. Just because you have the right does not make it right. I'm going to say that again. Just because you have the right doesn't make it right. That's something my dad told me a long time ago. All right. But you have to respect the game. And respecting the game goes a number of ways, right? If you respect the game will respect you. If you take care of the game will take care of you. But if you misuse the game will misuse you. If you disrespect the game of basketball, the game of basketball will disrespect you. Now, it may not happen right away, but it'll come back and it'll either respect you or disrespect you based on what you're doing to it, right? Just look around at athletes from bitty ball all the way to the pros. Those that didn't necessarily respect the game, it came back on them. So my parents out here that are listening, get your athletes to understand that they must respect the game, or the game will chew them up and spit them out. A lot of athletes now, they don't necessarily respect the game. Respecting the game is a certain level of work you have to put in. It's a certain level of studying you have to put in. It's a certain level of energy you have to put in, right? You have to respect your craft, because if you don't respect your craft is not going to respect you. So the first thing, and I'll get back to point 1, but the first thing, athletes must respect the game, right? The second thing, me, I always have my notes. The second thing, athletes must respect themselves. Now, it's a lot of things that people may say, hey, man, I respect myself. I respect me. Same way if a person is, I don't believe, a person walking down the street and they got their pants, sagging down underneath their butt, showing their drawers and all that, I don't believe that individual respects themselves. Right? Now many people may think different, but I'm talking about basketball and life and how they're synergistic. And so if athletes don't respect the game, a lot of times they probably don't respect themselves. And now, unless someone teaches them what respect is, they may not even know that they're disrespecting themselves. That's the sad part about it. Well, and here's what I mean by disrespecting yourself. Don't do things to others that you wouldn't want for someone to do to you. Does that make sense? Right? So if you respect the game, don't do things to the game or within the game that you don't want done to you or around you. A lot of athletes just don't respect the game of basketball. And they don't respect themselves. That's why it's easy to disrespect the game of basketball. And then the final point, and then I'm going to wrap it all up, is you must respect your opponents. As a coach, I learned this early on, 29 years ago. You must respect your opponents. And I've had players, right? And my wife talks about it all the time. Like, I've had games in which my teams, for whatever reason, did not respect their opponents the way that I was letting them know they should. And we practiced as soon as the game was over, right? Game is over. Everybody shaking hands, going to the locker room. Y'all come on out here. Baseline. If you didn't respect your opponent, I'm going to at least have you respect this game of basketball. And so now you shouldn't be afraid of your opponent. Nobody, no athlete, right? You shouldn't be afraid of any individual, but you should respect them. And if you respect your opponent, then you respect what they stand for, which is respecting the game of basketball. Because if they're out there just like you out there, then they're obviously liking the game of basketball. But just because you like the game doesn't mean you respect the game. Just because you like yourself or other people like you don't mean you respect yourself, right? Just because you may like your opponent, right, doesn't mean that you have to disrespect your opponent. Just because you may know that you're athletically better, right, parents, your athlete may be physically more brute, more faster, can jump higher. That doesn't mean disrespect your opponent. This is why you get so many teams from inner city areas when they go play teams in rural areas, right? Or let me make it more practical. This is why more black teams have problems when they play all white teams, because they just don't respect that opponent. They respect that they can shoot, but they don't respect their athletic ability. And then what happens? The team from the rural area, right? Now they running screen after screen, backdoor screen, flex cuts, all that, getting easy layups. And then what happens, right? Now, because they didn't respect their opponent, right? Now, because they don't respect themselves and they start to get frustrated, now they start disrespecting the game, and things happen like we see with this whole situation with the guy named Mike or Mikey, right? So he got into a gentleman's face, and from what I've heard, it was talk going on either way. We know it in sports. There's showmanship. There's showmanship and there's gamesmanship. Showmanship is like you want to show the other person up, right? Gamesmanship is more mental, right? So more athletes have to learn gamesmanship and not necessarily showmanship. And we see showmanship all the time. Somebody come and they scored and the other person got to come right back down one-on-one. That's showmanship. Gamesmanship is, okay, you're going to come down, you're going to score, all of that. Well, I'm going to come and I'm going to set a good screen 2 or 3 times down the court, and we're going to get 2 or 3 easy buckets. Or I'm going to now, gamesmanship, I'm going to send you in the direction of the help defense, so now next time you can't just get it off on me. It's a difference in showmanship and gamesmanship. But most athletes are just focusing on showmanship. So now they're not respecting the game, they're not respecting themselves, or they're not respecting their opponent. Now, as a coach, as a college coach, I don't really give a damn how many points you score. It really doesn't matter how many points you score. What matters to me is how you conduct yourself. How do you conduct yourself? Because now, right, I assure you, and they say that all press is good press, right? If you get bad press, good press, that's all. Hey, and in this new day and age with, name, image, and likeness, NIL, right? Those things. And, people want to bring attention to themselves. But I assure you, no other team in the country is going to allow for that guy to get up in their teammates' face ever again. I can assure you that. So now the X is going to be on this guy's back, not because of his athletic ability, but because of the disrespect. And now a coach has to decide, is this a one-time thing? Or is this really the character of this individual? And if it's the character of this individual, am I willing to lose my multi-million-dollar job or multi-thousand-dollar job on an athlete that may not be able to control their emotions or may have character issues? Because the same way the ticker's going underneath here, no coach wants to wake up and get a phone call and say, hey, I just seen your player's name on the ticker of ESPN. Now that next call is your AD or the president. And now that's called right after so many times, right? And I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. That's called lack of institutional control, right? You get players constantly getting texts, players cussing teachers out or cussing professors out, right? Getting in trouble in the school area, in the cafeteria, or, a young lady may say something, about them. Now there's accusations, right? And there's so many things. Now that's called lack of institutional control. We got to get rid of you, coach, because you don't have no control over your team. And then guess what? There may be somebody that may pick this, that said individual back up. But a coach with good sense and that looks at character a little bit more than they look at athletic ability, they may not touch it. Because the athlete didn't understand gamesmanship instead of showmanship. And here's what I mean. Gamesmanship, right? If you respect the game, then you know that the game will come full circle and help you. So if you know that you're capable of scoring 50 points, let your game speak for you. Let your game talk for you. You don't have to get up in somebody's face and rah and do all that. Like, let your game speak for you. Now, I'm not condoning violence, but you're going to get up in the wrong individual's face. And they're not going to understand gamesmanship or showmanship either. They're going to understand trauma and survival. And you get in the wrong person's face, and now we have a whole situation, and then somebody going to say, oh, well, they shouldn't have done that to the individual. Why? Survival and trauma. You don't know what that athlete has to deal with, somebody getting all up in their face. Parents, family, friends, neighborhood. People use basketball as an escape. So if you want to wrestle, if you want to box, if you want to square up, take on that sport. And I've seen, adults and, you kind of understand why some people think that's okay, because that's the mentality and that's the mindset of individuals, of adults. I had a coworker tell me one time, they said, Mr. Bailey, an old fool was once a young fool. And so we just got some old fools out here. Oh man, that's okay, man. He's like, they was woofing up. That's never acceptable. Getting somebody, that's never acceptable. The referee should have been disciplined. The coach should have been disciplined. The player should have been disciplined. That's never acceptable. If you respect the game will respect you. So let your game do the talking and not your mouth. Because your mouth can write checks that your butt can't cash. At least in Chicago area, that's how I was always taught. Don't let your mouth write a check your butt can't cash. You don't get up in people's face like that. And then the mom, right, of the said victim posted it like, I'm proud of my baby. Because he didn't react. And now you come back emotionally, and now you repost the adults' posts. So now you think that you've grown too. So now you're an adult, right? Because social media has coined you, or they know you. So now you're willing to go toe to toe with an adult. That may not be the best look. Because again, lack of institutional control. So if a professor says something that you don't agree with, you're gonna go back and forth. If a teacher says something you don't agree with, you're gonna go back and forth. If the coach says something that you don't agree with, you're gonna go back and forth. Parents, whoever that may be. If somebody in the stands say something that you don't agree with, are you gonna go back and forth with them? And so now the coach, right, and we know how terrible youth and high school sports are now with adults. So had the mother been reckless and was at the game, the mother might have did some of these things that we've seen, right, with officials and players and but the mom knew, that's why the son didn't react, right? The son didn't react because the same reason that the mom didn't necessarily react in that way. And never said anything about the said offender. The said offender. She commended her son. But now the said offender has something else to say to the adult. Respect the game, respect yourself, and respect the opponent. But because the game is now all about scoring, that's what people want to see. And guess what? Scoring, although it's needed, scoring is really selfish. Scoring is selfish. Nobody's ever said that to you. Scoring is selfish. Assists are selfless. I know that everybody can't get assists. Everybody can't score. And just because I score, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm selfish, but this is what I mean by that. Scoring is about me. Assist is about somebody else. Rebounding is about other people because we can't score if we don't get rebounds. Setting screens is about other people. Diving on the floor for a loose ball, taking a charge, that's about other people. Scoring is selfish. 50 is 50, right? In my days, it was a guy named Kool Mo D. I may be dating some of y'all, but for my audience, right, generally between 35 and 54, right? That's generally my audience. They understand, right? They understand who Kool Mo D is, right? So Kool Mo D had a song, and here in Chicago, Michael Jordan, right? I think he had like 5 or 6 games of straight 50 points, right? And Kool Mo, and they mixed Kool Mo D's song 50 Ways, right? Go listen to it. Matter of fact, go to YouTube, right? Go to YouTube. I'm gonna give y'all a blessing. Go to YouTube and YouTube Kool Mo D 50 Ways Michael Jordan, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Kool Mo D 50 Ways Michael Jordan. And it was cool, 50 ways, right? And they showing Mike 50 ways to get you. Mike got 50 ways. He gonna give you 50. But Mike understood he had to be selfish in order for his team to put the points on the board, right? But scoring is selfish. And Mike was selfish enough to where he had all those scoring titles, but he couldn't get past the Pistons. He couldn't get past them. And then they fired Doug Collins, who allowed for Michael to be selfish. And they brought in Phil Jackson. And if you understand the story, and I lived it, right? I remember being at the park the day Doug Collins got fired. I remember they really didn't get into it until in the Bulls series, why Doug Collins got fired. I'm not going to get into that. But Michael Jordan won all of those scoring titles. And as Brian Wilson said, right, he ain't getting no chip. He couldn't get past the Pistons. And so Michael Jordan said, I didn't like Phil Jackson because Doug Collins put the ball in my hand. Phil Jackson took the ball out my hand. Phil Jackson taught Michael Jordan how to be more selfless. And what happened? I'm just saying, what happened? They won 6 out of 8. Remember, Mike? They won 6 out of 8. Selfless. Now, I'm not knocking people that can score a lot of points, but you still must respect the game. You still must respect yourself, and you still must respect your opponent. I don't really understand how an adult can think that that's okay. And again, I've been quiet on this because I personally know the guy that's been helping in the skill development of said offender. And I know that this coach, that ain't how he rolled. That's not how he rolled. And so, yeah, they're working on, offense in the training area, right? Message for my parents, right? Get your athlete with a coach, not necessarily a trainer, but a coach is going to teach them the full game, not just how to score, right? Because ultimately, when you think about it, they're really teaching them how to be selfish because they're going to these sessions and they're only thinking about themselves. So then on the court, they do things thinking about themselves that can hinder somebody else in a negative way. That can hinder the team in a negative way. They can hinder themselves in a negative way. Now, again, being from Chicago, I've seen, right, instances in which I've been part of a team where we had to get a police escort out the building, where we had to get a police escort in the front, on the side, and in back of our bus. Right? Because of conflict from the fans, from the people that's coming to the game, the parents, the other players. And so what people may think, hey, that's cool, man, they just playing basketball, man, right? Shorty need to get tough. So now if there's a complete brawl, and now I go from basketball to the streets, and everybody be like, man, why was they doing that? Damn. Like, y'all done seen instances where people, clowns shooting up like gyms or getting into fights and all that, like coming on the court, like. But you don't respect yourself enough. And this is my opinion, Carvel Bailey. You don't respect yourself enough to know that you can score 50. It's 50. 50 is 50. And you can't let your game speak for itself. Or maybe you're not used, right? And this goes for anybody. Maybe the people that don't respect the game, don't respect their opponents, and don't respect themselves, maybe they're not used to a certain level of success or a certain level of consistent success. So now I have to go overboard. Showmanship versus gamesmanship. I don't know how much more clearly I can say it. But I understand that this is not a topic that most people want to talk about, because most people just like to get on the bandwagon of the one that everybody's talking about. If it's the team, if it's the individual, they just want to get on the bandwagon. Well, right is right and wrong is wrong. This dude was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong for getting in the dude's face, right? And that, if you inbox me, I will send you, if you inbox me, I will send you a post that I just made the other day about toughness, right? Toughness ain't about, getting an and one and you all in somebody's face or you, right? That ain't tough. If you respect the game and you've done enough, then you know that you can do those things. You know you can get an and one because you've been lifted. You know how to gain an advantage because you think on a whole different level than everybody else. So you use those things to your unfair advantage. You know that you can outlast them because you're in more condition. Come on. But if you really, really don't think that you can do some of the things that you've done, this is why athletes, showmanship versus gamesmanship. Like, okay, you got muscles. You got muscles. Come back down here again. I dare you. And I'm not talking about playing dirty, but I'm just saying you have to respect the game. What do you think is going to happen? Or you got to respect your opponents. What do you think is going to happen? You're trying to show somebody up. How long do you think somebody's going to allow you to show them up? Where on the other side, gamesmanship, you can do certain things and people never even know what you were doing, what hit them. Gamesmanship. I'm gonna score 50. I'm gonna talk to my teammates. I'm not gonna talk to you. Now I talk to my teammate, man, I sure hope his coach gets somebody else to sit me. Right? I'm talking to my teammate though, because we're staying focused on the game. But everybody don't see it that way. I'm just saying. So that's my comment on it, right? But so my point is, you can inbox me and I'll send you that post that I made about toughness, right? Or you can just go and take a look for it. But what we saw the other night wasn't tough. That wasn't tough. What we saw was somebody thinking they were bad. That wasn't tough, though. Most athletes today aren't tough, right? Can you deal with adversity, right? Because now, again, respecting yourself, respecting your opponent, respecting the game. Don't do something that you don't want done to you. So now what happens the rest of the season, not 2-3 guys start to like triangle around him like toughness. He's probably going to react out of emotion. And I thought the dude was a nice, humble guy from what I've seen. And because I know the guy that's doing his skill development, that has nothing to do with his high school coach, right? I think, the high school coach, whatever, right? Like my players wouldn't do certain things because they knew how their coach, me, was going to react. You get up in somebody's face, I'm getting up in yours. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? That ain't what we do. That's not what we do. We can beat their brains out and let them figure it out. We ain't got to say a word. The best thing that you can ever do is get a road win. That's the best feeling in the world, a road win. We walking in with our headphones on focused, and we walking out with our headphones on focused. Now the other team in the crowd gonna be like, man, them dudes came in here to handle business. It's a business trip. Now, this is the last thing I'm gonna leave you with. If you don't think it matters on a high school area, right, on a high school level, on a college level, don't professionals get their sponsorships revoked? Now that we're in the age of name, image, and likeness, NIL, right? And this said individual has some sponsorships. Well, those sponsorships are ran by corporations. And those corporations, right, they have a brand image to protect. And so that brand image, right, that brand image can be, right, Gatorade may not want that brand image to be that. Because guess what their competitor going to do? Their competitor is going to show that. And that Gatorade will backpedal and say, you know what, no, this ain't worth it to us. So for the individuals like, oh man, Shorty need to get tough. All right. Okay. Okay. But I don't mind telling the truth. I don't mind telling the truth, and I don't care who hears it. I'm not saying that the guy's a bad individual. I'm just saying that was wrong. I really thought and think, again, that the guy is, I believe the guy to be classy. But what he did was classless. Now, does that mean that I put a black X on them? No, who am I? I'm just a guy that knows basketball a hell of a lot than a lot of other people. And I've been doing this a hell of a lot longer than a lot of other people. But I'm just a human being. What I'm saying is this guy's made it difficult for now his team. Because now if he gonna act like that, then we gonna just deal with the rest of the team. Now we gonna treat them just like what we would like to treat him if we can't get to him. Life in basketball, same way like on the street, man. Same way like on the street. I'm going to do whatever I can. If I can't get to him, now I'm gonna get to somebody. So now, what if people start targeting his teammates? Or what if people start targeting him? Now, what's the coach gonna do? Now the officials, I guarantee you, the officials before every game, now their pregame, they're keying in. Because who's ever assigning these officials gonna be like, hey, don't you let this happen again. This will be your last varsity game working. And guess what? You or me is always an easy choice. You or me is always an easy choice. People will always choose themselves, self-preservation. So name, image, and likeness, right? You get all the contracts you want, they'll get stripped away by one dumb, senseless act. And now it's on YouTube and social media all around the world. And they're not showing the good things. Again, I've seen it, right? The good things that this individual does. The good things. But people only, like, you're only as good as your last performance. So I just wanted to jump on here and just talk about that because I've gotten so many people that have kind of sent me things about it, right? Same way when I talked about Ben Simmons, right? Everybody wanted to, and I come on here later, right? Talking about the whole Ben Simmons thing, right? Matter of fact, Ben Simmons will probably be my first coming back, right? So I'm coming back with Life in Basketball, right? It's time to bring it back, right? Time for season 6, right? Like Mike, right? We're on season 6. Can y'all believe it? Season 6 of Life in Basketball. And guess what? We're turning it completely into a podcast, right? We're going to now give it the name that it deserves to give, right? And we're now, right, coming back with it. Life and Basketball, the podcast, right? Where we talk about how life and basketball are synergistic, all right? But so I'm going to go through some of these comments real quick because I got a call that I got to be on. Facts, yes, sir. Wrong answer. I know when Derek put that when at the beginning when I was talking about something, and he was saying that that's definitely not the right thing to do. Everyone always want to be bigger than the game, hoping they see their faces on NBA 2K. Yeah. But name, image, and likeness, they're not going to even put your likeness on something like that if you not a person that 2K wants to have represented of them, right? Jordan didn't win the scholarship. I mean, he didn't win the championship. B, you always know I'm a school, right? Make the rest of the team play. Yeah, like it's a target on the team's back now, Philosophy of life in the game. Absolutely. Right, seeing the game in Utah, ref had to pull a gun on the court, right? Yeah, like, come on, man. That's not basketball. Like, no one wants to be in the game and those type of things happen. People want to come to basketball games and be safe. They want to like sport and be safe. Humiliation, right? On the way. The rest of the season. I'm just saying, if not for the referees, for the other team or for the fans, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a hard senior year after this. Enjoy that 50 if you playing people that respect the game and people that don't like to see the game disrespected, right? High school coaches are not the same of our era. No way they are not the same, right? Because it's all about winning. It's all about selfishness. It's all about selfishness. This is my guy right here, Clutch and Stick. Whatever I can do for your platform, I'm here for. Brought a younger relative, you're a guy from Amazon. Keep up the good work. Coach, I appreciate, right? Anytime, man, that anybody supports, right, the show, the platform, I definitely appreciate it. Definitely. So we come back out with the Life in Basketball, the podcast again. we will have products, right, and services that you can be a part of, that you can purchase, that, you can, get, for your younger relative. Let me know how they enjoy the book. Definitely let me know how they enjoyed the book, any takeaways from it, and we have much more for them. Now, if you want to make early donation to the podcast, you can definitely do that. You can send me an inbox, or you can send me a message. I know you're watching on YouTube, and this individual, right, is actually from Chicago, and we talk a lot, right, and so older. So when you talk, Lewis, about coaches from our era is not the same, right? My man Clutch and Stick, he's from our era, right, or probably a little further, right? Basketball, like understands basketball, understands life, right? And so, you can definitely reach out to me on YouTube. We can connect. I can definitely show you how you can become a sponsor of one of our shows, or the show for a period of time, or as well if you just want to make a donation or a contribution. I definitely appreciate it. Anybody else that has a basketball program, a basketball team, or do anything in the realm, right, of life and basketball, or even have a business, right, and you want to sponsor the podcast, definitely hit me up, and let's get to it. We can get you some options, but so we can get more eyes on you. All right. Hopefully somebody learned from this, right? If this was helpful, just drop a 1 in the chat, right? If this was helpful, just drop a 1 in the chat. I just want to see if this was helpful. If it wasn't, then that's fine. But for those people that it was helpful, just make sure that you share this with somebody else, right? And I don't care if it gets all the way back to the individual, right? Hopefully somebody will pull it. If his high school coach don't pull him to the side, I can assure that the guy that I know that's his skill development coach, I'm pretty sure at some point he is going to talk to him about it, because it's not a good look for his brand, not the coach's brand, but it's not a good look for the individual's brand. And he already got some sponsorships out there. All right, so this is Coach Carvel Bailey. I appreciate y'all. Once again, a quick lunch and learn today, a quick lunch and learn. I just wanted to hop on here and talk to y'all about this. And until next time, all right, share this with somebody you know. Until next time, keep striving for the top, because it is crowded as hell at the bottom. All right, y'all be good. Peace.
Yo, just so you understand it, this is Coach Carvel Bailey's program with the spirit of Bob Hambry. This is Blessed to Ball, helping athletes, and we represent. Study your craft, your mentality leads to excellence. It's all about your mindset. We'll never stop addressing this, so be positive and not a pessimist. Confidence took James Harden higher. If you really want it, it ain't gonna be easy. It's gonna be hard as carbon fiber, but we got you. From counseling to workshops, we do it. You'll go farther with a scholarship. We'll help you get recruited. Yo, anyone can dribble and shoot, but it's the ones who study basketball internally that make it to Duke University. Knowledge goes around. The game is played from the neck up and not from the shoulders down. This is Blessed to Ball, helping you with obstacles. The athletes are the rocket. Blessed to Ball is the rocket fuel. If you hit a wall, we can help you slowly climb it. So keep a Mamba mentality like Kobe Bryant. Blessed to Ball. Cherish the opportunities that you have. Blessed to Ball. Use your mentality to master the craft. Blessed to Ball. Come join our team, it's a new day. Follow our steps and watch how much better you play. Blessed to Ball. Cherish the opportunities that you have. Blessed to Ball. Use your mentality to master the craft. Blessed to Ball. Come join our team, it's a new day. Follow our steps and watch how much better you play. Yo, Coach Carvel Bailey. Hey, listen to your coach, man. He ain't no scrub off the street. That man got credentials, academic and street. Believe it. And my name is strategic.